Okay, I hope there are no doubts, and if there are any, then the best way to clear your doubts will be by working on some projects, right? So whether it is HTML or CSS or JavaScript or any other language per se, so it's better to first learn the basics and then start, using that to build something, right? So now we know enough to, write some basic codes. So what I've done is I've created two projects. um, okay, so there is one doubt by Amina Lee. So do we have to make design of each and every page of experiment 3 on Figma? Yes, yes, you have to. uh, that is how, the design process works. Basically you have to lay out all the everything inside Figma or any design software, and then you have to start making it. Okay, so that is, it's better you start uh, getting used to such kind of a scenario. Okay, that will help you a lot in future. Okay, and the responsive design part, it's completely your choice. If you do not want to make it responsive, that's absolutely fine. You can, make only the desktop version. But just to before I've all I think I have shared the link with you in Slack. So this is the finished product of that page. Okay, so you can see, and if anybody has any doubt of how this particular background is set and all those things, so they can simply check the code how I have done it. Okay, and if you look at it, it is also responsive. If I go at this particular stage, you can see the menu disappears, and now I can click to open the menu. Okay, so this obviously I have done it using a little bit of, actually it is CSS, but to, show the menu and to disable hide the menu, I am using a little bit of JavaScript. Okay, so you can see the JavaScript code also for this. I have shared it with you. Okay, um, if any of these things confuse you, or if you have any doubts while making, if you want any explanation of how I have done any particular part, like for example how I have bought my DP in the center or anything like that, then you can always tell me. I will explain you. Okay, okay, so let's get back to our project. Okay, so what I've done is I've created two projects, and we will do both of them, but today we will try to complete one. Okay, so project one we will try to complete, and the other project I will give it to you. If anybody wants to try, they can try it out. Okay, and tomorrow we will see, if anybody gets it working successfully, then well and good. Otherwise we will see tomorrow. Okay, so let's start this project. I will open it with live server, and this is how the project looks. Okay, so basically it is just a to do application, right? So if you look at the application, it is a basic to do where, here you will start adding your to dos, and here it should, this is a table, it should show up the to dos over here. Okay, I mean, if you add a new item, it should come at the end. Okay, and this data should be updated. Okay, so it is saying 10 to dos total, 3 complete, okay, and 7 pending, right? And how to make it complete? You just have to click on the checkbox and it becomes complete. Okay, now what I've done is I have created right now this does not look that good. Okay, so what I've done is I've created a style to this. I've just disabled it so that you can see what is the effect of a good CSS on a normal HTML file. Okay, so now right now you can see it doesn't look that good, but once I enable my CSS, okay, so my name of my CSS is project1.css. okay, now if I save it, I think I am in the wrong page. Okay, so this is the project one. Okay, so here I will make project one as the CSS as project one, and now you can see the difference of with CSS and without CSS. Okay, so once I added CSS, you can see what I've done. I have added a slight background gradient. Okay, and then I have used this design to style the buttons and everything. Okay, so you can see once I do this and press add, nothing actually happens because right now it is only CSS, nothing else. Okay, so it is this particular form is not working. Nothing is working right now. Even if I check this, okay, so nothing actually happens. Okay, so what we have to do is make this working. Okay, so uh, so if you look at this, this is the source, and if you come down, you can see I have created a JavaScript file also called project1.js. Okay, and obviously I will be using this file to write anything, any code that I want, right? So let's open that project one. You can see this is the structure that I'm using. So there are HTML files, then all the CSS is in the CSS folder and all the JavaScript is in the JavaScript folder. Okay, so let's open the JavaScript, and this is how it looks, completely empty. uh, I will show you how to. Okay, so Shaista Sheikh is asking how to strike through. Okay, so let me just come to any of the text. Okay, so let's suppose uh, I want to strike through my to-dos. Okay, so I want to strike through this to-dos. So I can just do style. Okay, so I'm just using inline style just to show you. Okay, and I can do text decoration and line through. Okay, so this creates that strike. Okay, so I can just remove this now. Any other queries? Okay, now I have not tried this yet. Okay, so if there are any mistakes, just try to forgive me. Okay, so let's begin. Now the first thing that I would like to do is I want to read the input whatever I have entered inside the text box. Okay, so if you look at it over here, you can see basically I have two divs, one to do form, that is this particular box. Okay, and then there is a to do div which is the below div. Okay, so inside the to do div there you can see a form is there, right? And inside that form there is an input type text with an ID add to do. Okay, so this is very important. I have given an ID. Okay, so if I have an ID, then I can use query selector to get the element, right? So let's try to get that. Okay, now before that you can see I also want to add this particular element only when I click this button, right? So right now, if I click the button, you can see what exactly happens. The form gets submitted. Okay. So that is the default behavior whenever there is a button inside a form. Okay. So that particular form gets submitted. Okay. So now the problem is you don't want the form to be submitted because this is like a JavaScript form where actual HTML properties need not be there. Okay. So I don't want the form to be submitted. So let's see how to handle this. Okay. So first of all, let's select this particular element. Okay. So one thing you can do is I can give an ID to this, or because there is only one form, I can directly select also. But uh, okay, so let's suppose we select the form. Let's select the form. Okay, so let let form is equal to document. Okay, can anyone tell me how to select the button? Okay, I want to first select the button, and I also want to select the input element. Okay, so I want to select both these things separately. I need not select the form. Let's see. Okay, I will show you multiple methods. Let's see the first one. I want to select the button. Okay, so let's say button is equal to document dot. How should I select the button? I can select it by get element by tag name. Okay, but yesterday, I think not yesterday, on Tuesday I've said there are two commands that you should remember. One is get element by ID, then there is query selector, and I have told you that I mainly use query selector to select all the elements, right? Because it uses CSS selectors to select the elements, right? So I usually prefer that. So let's use query selector. Okay, and inside query selector I will just write the name, and the name, the tag name is button. Okay, so I will just, because there is only one button, I don't have any problem. But if you had multiple buttons inside your HTML, then you should give an ID. Okay, so that is very important. But right now in my form there is only one button, so this is going to be a unique. Okay, so once that is done, now uh, let's let's see how to get the the value of a particular what do you say, element. Okay, so right now you can see this is the button, right? Next I want to also get the input element. Okay, so input element is add to do. Okay, now whenever you see this, okay, so it's an ID, it has an ID, right? So how should you select that particular element? Any idea? Yes, very good. I can do get element by ID, right? So let me just duplicate and uh, okay, so let me call it text box and document, and here you can use get element by ID, and here you can say add to do. I think that is, yeah, add to do. This is one option, or I will just show you another way that I usually prefer is again using query selector, and instead of simply add to do I will use hash add to do. Okay, so this is my preferred way of using it. It is completely up to you which one do you like, but only thing to remember is if you do get element by ID, then you should you should not use hash in front of it. Only the name of the ID should be there. And if you are using query selector, then it should be exactly how you select a CSS element. Okay, so anything will do. Okay, now the first thing that I should do is this particular form. Let's see how to get the value of the text box. Okay, so I want to get the value of the text box, and in HTML and CSS, how do you get the value of any text box? Whatever, if you enter, let's say hello over here, how do you get this particular thing? Where is this particular thing stored? In which attribute? Okay, so Amin Ali is asking what is the advantage or difference in query selector and get element by ID. Okay, very good, Amin. Basically, you know, get element by ID is target specific. Okay, so you are targeting that particular element individually, right? But in case of query selector, there may be multiple elements. Okay, because it's a query selector, it is possible that you have put a let's say, in our case, you have used button, right? So it is possible that there are multiple buttons in your form, right? But still, this button query selector will give you the first button that comes through, in the flow. It will give you only that button. But whereas get element by ID will be targeting only a specific button which has that particular ID. Okay, but if you use an hash add to do over here in the query selector, then both of them will almost represent the same thing. Okay, so because you are targeting a particular element, whether you're using query selector or element by ID. But query selector, it is like much more versatile. You can use it for classes also. Like for example, in this case, you have a class called, okay, so here you can see I have an ID called add to do, and I also have a class called add to do. Okay, so you can use query selector to select both of them. Okay, so let's see how to do that. So let me just duplicate this. Okay, and here if I want to select with the help of ID, I will just do hash add to do. And if I want to select with the help of what do you say, uh, class, then instead of hash it will become dot to do. Okay, so that is the advantage of using query selector. And get element by ID will only work if it's an ID. Okay, otherwise it will not work. If it's a class, it will not work. Okay, uh, okay, so I think that is fine. Okay, now let's see how we can get the value. So now to get the value, you can see I can just do console dot log. Okay, and I can say text box dot get attribute. Okay, so if I do this get attribute, and the attribute, this is a new command that you should know. That is, if any particular elements attribute you want to see, what is the attribute of that particular element, so you can use this get attribute property and you can specify anything. Okay, let's suppose I want to see what is the ID of this particular element. Okay, so I can do this, save it, and let's open up the console, because it is, I have put it in the console. You can see it provides me add to do. Okay, so this is the ID. I did a get attribute ID. Okay, now if I want something, some other attribute, let's say I want the type of this element. Okay, so let's see how to get that. So I can just do type and save, and you can see the type is text. Okay, next, let's say we want to find out the placeholder. Okay, so get attribute placeholder, and you can see it gives me add new to do. Okay, the reason why I'm showing you all this is, let me just stop this. Okay, so the reason why I'm showing you all this is because that this shows that I can get any attribute. Okay, and if you remember what is the attribute which is used to set some value, and if you remember HTML forms, we use this particular syntax value to set any value, default value to the form, right? So let's do test, and if I save it, you can see I get test over here. Okay, so that is the difference between a placeholder and the value. Okay, so placeholder is something which is which vanishes once you type something. Okay, but test is the actual value. Okay, so now if I want to get that test value, it is in the attribute value. Okay, so I will just save it, and you can see I get the test value. Okay, so now whenever I want to get whatever is typed inside this, you can simply use this particular syntax, right? Okay, and next I want to now show this particular element only when I click on this particular add button. Okay, so whenever I click on this add button, I want to see what I have typed inside this particular text box, right? So for that, the first thing that you should do is take the button. Okay, so whichever element, so you must have understood that I want to add an event listener to the add button. Okay, so whenever I click on this, something should happen, right? So I will take the button. Okay, so button is stored in this particular variable. I will take the button, I will add an event listener. Okay, so this is how you add an event listener, right? Now which event that you want to listen. Okay, so there are a lot of different events that are there, like you can have mouse over. Okay, so mouse over means when you bring the mouse on top of it. Okay, you can have mouse out. Okay, so mouse out is when you take your cursor out of the element. You can have click, which is basically clicking on that particular uh, element. Then there is mouse down, mouse up. uh, so there are many events that are there, but I want to use the click event. Okay, so whenever I click on add button, so I will just use the click. It should be inside quotes, single quotes or double quotes, doesn't matter. Okay, so that is my event. So I'm going to listen for this particular event. Then comma. Okay, so it has two parameters. This particular add event listener has two parameters. So button add event listener, which event you want to listen, then click. So that click is the event. And then here it should be a function which is going to run as soon as this button is clicked. Okay, so this function can be a normal function or an anonymous function. Okay, because this button function is going to be run only once, I'm going to use an anonymous function. Anonymous function means without any parameters. Okay, so you can see this is my anonymous function. Now this particular function, any event listener function, gets a parameter as an input. Okay, so that parameter is an event. So you can call it anything. I'm calling it as E. If you want, you can call it as X, you can call it as ELE, or you can call it as event anything. Okay, so the choice of the name is your wish. Okay, so once you do that, now let's see if it really works or not. And let's first do uh, console.log. Okay, hi. Okay, so basically what I've done is, whenever you click the button, you should get hi in the console. Okay, that just shows that your form is working. Okay, so let me try it out. So if I click, you can see uh, nothing actually happens. Okay, so if I click, what happens? It, the entire form refreshes. Why? Okay, so the form refreshes because that is the default behavior of this particular button. Okay, so okay, Amin Ali has another question. If you want to target some other button or text box inside the code which is not the first element, how to specify that in query selector? Okay, Amin Ali, it's very good question. I think there is a slight confusion with the query selector. Now this query selector is completely same, it can select anything. Okay, like for example, let's suppose this is the button that you want to select, and somewhere in the form there is another button. Okay, and you want to select this button or that button, any button, right? So if there are two buttons, then it will always return the first button that is there, right? If you use the button tag as the selector. But if you do not want to use that kind of a selector, if there are multiple buttons. In my case, there was only one button, that's why I use the button selector. But let's suppose there are two buttons in my form. So what I should do is first come over here and give an ID. Okay, so add button. Okay, so this I have added a button, sorry, ID to the button. Okay, so once I do that, now I can come over here, and instead of doing button, I will use hash button. Okay, so this also will do the same thing, but it is now very specific. Okay, so now you can be sure that this particular ID cannot be there in any other button, because that is the rule, right? So you cannot use the same ID anywhere else, right? So that is how I would select a button if there is multiple buttons in my form. Okay, so I can save it now. Obviously you can see this particular what is happening is, when I click on this particular button, the form gets reloaded. Okay, that is because that is the default behavior of a form, that whenever you click a button, it should submit the form. Okay, so what you have to do is, you have to stop the event. Okay, so if you stop the event, then this will not happen, right? So how to stop the event? You have the event in the variable e. So all you have to do is e dot prevent default. Okay, so this function you have to call whenever such kind of a thing is happening. Okay, so what this prevent default does, whatever is the default behavior of that particular button or form, whatever. Okay, so that can be stopped. Okay, so that can be prevented. And now if I do console.log, okay, let me save it and click on, you can see now whenever I click, I get high. Okay, so not, the form now does not refresh, and whenever I keep clicking high, sorry, keep clicking add, it prints high onto the screen. Okay, so now let's see, now we have done something which is very important, that is we have added a click listener to the button. Okay, so once I've added the click listener, now I want to get the value that is entered inside this text box. Okay, so I should use this to get the value. Okay. Okay, so now there is a slight correction. So when I do get attribute, okay, so when I use get attribute, so it gives you the attribute when the page loads, right? But if you want to get the dynamic attribute, so whatever you enter, if you want to get that, you can just use text box dot value. Okay, so when you do that, let's see. So you can see when I, let's say, test something out, and if I click, you can see that is the value that I get over here. Okay, so I can now add anything, let's say add element. Okay, and click add, and I get add element. So whatever I type over here, that I will get as the output. Okay, now what I want to do is I have this element and I want to add it. I have this element. First, I want to store it in a variable. Okay, so let's first store it in a variable. So instead of doing console.log, let's set a variable. Let data is equal to uh, text box dot value. Okay, so once I have that, now I have stored the element data inside this data value. Okay, so now what I want to do is, oh, sorry, what is happening, value. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to add it to the end of this particular element. Okay, so I want to add it to the table. Right now, how to add it? Now for that, if you can see, this is, there is only one table in my form, right? And the structure of the table is very simple. If you look at the TR, you can see this is how my TR looks, right? So the TR is having a simple logic that if you add a class to the TR called complete, then it will be having a style of, I will just show you. I will just add a class complete, and when I do that, you can see it it does two things when I add a class. Okay, it's basically CSS. So it adds a green background. Okay, and then it strikes through all the text. Okay, so that means it is complete. Okay, so let's remove all the class complete from here for the time being. Okay, and if I remove it, and if I remove the checked also from here, you can see this is how it looks. Okay, okay, so if you look at my JavaScript right now, what I've done is when I click on this particular add button, it first of all does prevent default so that the form does not refresh. Okay, second, it stores the data inside a variable, no, text box data inside a variable called data. Then the next thing that I want to do is I want to create a generate HTML. Okay, for this particular new element that I want to add. Okay, so that is very simple. First of all, I want to select the table. Okay, so if we look at this, there is only one table that I have. Okay, and inside that table there are two sections, that is T head and T body. Okay, so T head is the top row, that is the, the heading of the table, and T body is all the rows that you see below that. Okay, so I want to add to the end of T body, right? So let's first select that. Okay, so let's do let table is equal to, so document dot get, sorry, let's do query selector. Okay, so query selector, and the query selector that I want to use is table. Okay, obviously I want to select the table, but inside that table I am specifically going to select the T body part. Okay, so this is what I want to select. Okay, so I have set that over here, table. Now what I want to do is I want to append the whatever I'm going to put to the end of this particular T body. Okay, so for that, if you remember what we have done, I can use table dot inner HTML, and if I do equal to, it will replace the whole table with the HTML that you're trying that you're going to put. Okay, so let us try to add some HTML. Okay, and I've copied. Let's copy one table from here and paste it over here. Okay, so let's uh, okay, and I can use backticks also, but backticks we have not yet seen, so I could have used. Okay, so I have basically just commented out. Uh, okay, so let me just, okay. Okay, so what I've done is I have taken one row, okay, and I have added everything like this, right? There should be no multiple lines. Okay, so I have removed all the multiple lines and I've added everything in one line. Okay, and now you can see there is no error. And since I'm using double quotes, I cannot have double quotes inside because then that will close the string, right? So what I've done is I have escaped it with the help of slashes. Okay, if you do not want to do this, you can always use single quotes at the outside and double quotes is there inside, right? So that will also work. Okay, so once I do this, okay, right now if I save and if I run, you can see it simply adds this particular element to the table. Okay, but that is not what I want. I want to append this element. Okay, so I will use plus equal to. So once I do this, now you can see whenever I click, it keeps on adding the element to the end of the string. Okay, but that is not what I actually want, right? I want whatever I type over here, that should come onto the table, right? So for that, what I should do is I have to manipulate the table. Okay, so I want to manipulate this particular table, right? So now to manipulate this table, I know I want to replace this, right? So learn something. So whatever you want to replace, you have to do only one thing. You just remove that particular text, add quotes over there, okay, and add two plus symbols. Okay, so this is what you do. So basically what you're doing is you are uh, stopping that string over there, then adding a concatenation, and then here you should add the variable where your data is. Okay, so if you remember, the data is over here. Okay, so this data, if I put it over here, okay, so now what happens is, now I'm basically breaking the string at that particular point and inserting data in between. So with the help of this plus, I am concatenating that. Okay, now if I save it, and now if I press add, you can see it gives me test. Okay, so if I add something else and press, you can see it gives me this. Okay, now the second thing to understand is, if I come over here, this should be always pending at the beginning. Okay, so I will replace this and do pending. Okay, so in the beginning, all the things that we put, it will be in the pending case. Okay, so I can do some text again and press, and it gives me pending. Okay, so this is basically what we have done till now. Okay, now the next step would be to when I check this, okay, so when I check this particular checkbox, what should happen is it should take this particular row and make it as a what do you say, add a class which will be like the complete class to be to the row. Okay, so basically whenever any particular element is checked, it should mark that particular row as complete. Okay, so if you add, let's say for example, I've already shown you, if you make, you can see from here. Okay, so this particular tr and this particular tr, the what are the main differences between these two trs? Okay, so the first TR is complete, the second TR is incomplete or pending, you can say. Okay, so there are three major differences that you will see. First of all, this TR has a class called complete. Okay, so that is the first thing that you have to do. Second, the checkbox is checked. Okay, so that is the second difference, that the checkbox is checked. The third is the status. Okay, the status column should be marked complete. Okay, so these three things must be done to make that particular row strike out. Okay, so the striking out, I have done it in CSS. Okay, so as soon as I add the complete class, the striking out happens and the green color background will be applied. Okay, so let's see how to do that. Okay, so now let's look at next thing that we have to do is we have added all these things. Now the next thing is to first of all add an event listener, a click event listener to this particular checkbox. Okay, so let's see how to select the checkbox. So this is my checkbox that is there. Okay, and I will show you another way of, now it does not have a name, it does not have an ID. Okay, so it does not have anything by which I can select. Okay, but it has an attribute called checkbox. Okay, so I can select it with that also, but if you want to select multiple elements at a time, you can always give a class to it. Okay, that is also a good way of selecting any particular element. Okay, if you want to select multiple, and if you want to select a single element, then it is better to give an ID. Okay, so let's give uh, to do check. Okay, so I am just giving a class called to do check. Okay, and let's copy that to all the checkboxes. Okay, so I have copied it to all the checkboxes and save it. Right, so nothing actually happens. I've just added a to do check. Okay, now let's come over here and let's now first of all select those checkboxes. Okay, so let checkbox. Okay, so I've just given a variable name, document dot query selector. Okay, so if I do query selector, it will not work. I will show you why. Okay, so okay, so I have used query selector, and I have used dot because it's a class, right? And I am doing to do check, that is the name of the uh, class, right? So to do check. Now when I do this, this will only return the first checkbox. Okay, so that means it will return this particular checkbox, the first checkbox. But I want the event listener to be attached to all the checkboxes. Right, now to do that, instead of using query selector, you have to use query selector all. Okay, so when you do query selector all, it will return all the checkboxes. Okay, so that is very important. Okay, and finally I have to now add an event listener to all the checkboxes. Okay, now if I do something like this, checkbox dot add event listener. Okay, uh, uh, that will not be a good idea, because you have to attach event listener to each and every element, not the entire list of elements, right? So what I do is checkbox, um, You can use, for loop to for loop through all the elements. Okay, so let's just call this check boxes. Okay, I'm just changing the name and making it plural. Okay, now I can use a for loop, or you can use anything. Okay, so you can use every also. Okay, so I'm using for loop, and let's do um, uh, let checkbox of checkbox boxes. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken checkboxes, and I'm going to iterate over each and every checkbox. Okay, so let's see what is the output of this console.log checkbox. Okay, so let's see what is the output. Inspect and console. So you can see, as soon as I do that, you will get, four different iterations, because there are four checkboxes. You are getting four iterations, right? So now once I get this particular, so this means it is working, right? So I have four different, I'm getting all the checkboxes. Now next what I want to do is I want to add an event listener, right? Now let's add an event listener. uh, so checkbox dot add event listener, and the event listener is going to be click. Okay, so again the click event. Then again the syntax is same as before, function e. Okay, so I'm getting this. Now it's always a good idea to know console log and do a console log and find out if everything is working or not. Okay, so what I've done is I have just added event listener to the checkboxes, and now whenever I click on the checkbox, it should print hi. Okay, so you can see whenever I click on checkbox, it is printing hi. Okay, so that is a good thing. So till here everything is working. The next thing is, okay, so what should I do next? Next is I want to check if that particular checkbox is checked or not. Okay, so let me see if I can get this. Okay, now whenever you uh, use an event listener, so the e element has a property called target. So e dot target. Okay, so let's see what e dot target is. Let's save it, and let's press any particular checkbox, and you can see the target is the checkbox whatever I am pressing. Okay, so that is very important to understand. So e dot target gives you the element that is being checked. Okay, next what you can do is you can let's see what is the attribute. Okay, so let's see if there is something called as mm, okay, so let's see if this returns something. Okay, so if I do this, so it returns me true. So it is checked equal to true. And if I remove it, it says it is false. Okay, so I can use this particular property to check if that particular checkbox is checked or unchecked. Okay, so let's use this property. You can see how I'm working through. Okay, so I have also I'm trying to code this live. Okay, I'm not done it before and doing it live in doing it again. I'm just doing it live in front of you. Okay, so in this case you can see how my how I'm trying to think. Okay, so basically I'm just trying to find out how this particular how I can check if this particular element is checked or not. Okay, so I'm using this particular property e dot target dot checked. Okay, now one question people ask is, sir, how do we remember which is the property to this particular element. Okay, so now obviously that, even I also forget. You can see I just forgot about this particular property. Okay, it happens. So that's why you should have your browser ready with you, with a cheat sheet with you, along with you all the time. So whenever you forget any particular attribute, you should immediately go and check what was the attribute for that. Okay, so for these things, you should always switch back to your documentation or any cheat sheet to find out what are the attributes that are there. Okay, so right now I just remembered that there is an attribute called checked in checkboxes, so I can use that, right? So let's see how we can use this. So I can use an if condition. Okay, so if target dot checked is equal to true. Okay, if it is true, that means that particular checkbox is checked. If it is not true, then that means that checkbox is not true, right? So if it is true, what should I do? Okay, so what is the thing that I should do? Okay, so basically this is my checkbox, right? And if it is true, I should find out who is the TR of this particular checkbox. Okay, so if let's say I select this particular checkbox, right? So who is the parent of parent TR of this particular checkbox? So for that, I have to go one step back. One step back is find the parent of this checkbox. The parent of this checkbox is TD, and the parent of TD is TR. Okay, so I have to go two steps back. Okay, so now how to do that? Okay, let's see if I can traverse back. Okay, so let's do a console log and find out if I can go back. Okay, so to go back, I can just do target dot parent. Okay, so let's see if it works. Okay, so if I do parent node, and if I do this, you can see I can get the TD. Okay, so I can get the immediate parent of the checkbox. Now if I do, let's suppose I'm not sure, let's do one more time parent and see what happens. And if I do this, I get TR. Very good. Okay, so I get the element that is on top of it. Okay, so once I get this, let's see if I can add a class. uh, let's save it to a variable. Okay, let TR is equal to e dot target dot parent node. Okay, so I am taking this TR and saving it inside a variable TR. Okay, so once this is done, now let's see how to change the class of this particular element. Okay, so this particular class has to be changed. Now let's see how we can do that. Okay, so to do that, let's do tr dot class list. Okay, so class list, this property gives you all the classes that are there assigned to this any particular element. Okay, so you can take any element, and if you run, let me just show you by console dot log. Okay, if I do console dot log, and if I select this, okay, so it gives me a list of you can see currently the value of the class is empty. Okay, so let's add a class to, okay, wait, so I will select this particular element, and you can see the value is complete. That is because if you look at this particular TR, it has a class called complete. That's why it is giving the class complete. Okay, so once you know how to get the class list, you can actually do an add. Okay, so you can now remove the console.log, and you can use dot add. Okay, so to the class list you can add any class, any additional class you want. Okay, so you can use, let's say, tr.classlist.add and complete class. Okay, so you are adding a complete class to the tr. Okay, I don't know whether it will work or not, because this particular parent node is a read only, but let's see if it works. Okay, so it works very good. So you can see whenever I select a particular element, that particular row, the class is added. Okay, but once I remove it, it does not remove the class, right? So that has to be added, then only it will remove the class also. Okay, so for that you can just do the same thing in the else. Okay, that means it is false, right? So in the else, you can, instead of doing add, you can just do remove. Okay, so once you do that, let's see if it works. It works, right? So I can actually make a nice little working checkbox, to-do list, where I can mark any element completed. Okay, so drink milk. Once I do drink milk and click on add, okay, so it adds it to the list. And now if I select this checkbox, it will not work. Okay, let's see why. Okay, so if I do select this checkbox, it does not work. Can anybody tell me why it does not work? Any idea why it does not work? Okay, so let me just show you why it does not work. Okay, how have we selected this particular checkbox? With the help of class to do check. Okay, now when I add this particular new element, what is the HTML code over here? This. Okay, in this, are you adding that particular class? You're not adding it, right? Because we copied the code before it, right? So I am not able to add this particular, I have not added that. So let's add that. Okay, so I have added this class to do check in the checkbox, and let's escape the codes. And now if I save it, let's hope it works. Okay, okay, so add background. I've added a new checkbox, and still it does not work. Okay, so now why it does not work? Any idea? Okay, so right now I am doing the check. Okay, but it is still not working. Okay, because I am adding the text to the background, sorry, to the table. But inside this div, let me just inspect and see. You can see I have a class to do check also, but still it is not working. Okay, so this is something you should understand, how to deal with such kind of thing. Okay, so basically the basic idea is, whenever you add elements dynamically into the uh, table, that particular DOM is not reflected inside the document object. Okay, so if you look at this particular document object, it is not reflected directly. Okay, so the document object, as soon as the page loads, it knows only what are there in the code. Okay, so that is very important. Okay, so in the next part, that is the next session, we will see how, whenever you add new elements to the page, how you can bring that also, that element also can be made live inside DOM. Okay, so that we will see in the next lesson, next part. And also we will also see backtick operators to, you know, find out how many are checked, how many are complete, and how many are pending. Okay. And one more thing is pending. So when I click this, sorry, let me just refresh. When I click this, it should also make this pending as complete. Okay, so this thing is also remaining. So these three things are pending in this particular form. Okay, so till tomorrow you can try this out if you want. You know, if you want to practice, I will share this code with you, and you can also try to, you know, do these things by yourself. I will not be sharing the JavaScript code because I want you all to try it out yourself. And you know, if it is this is my logic of doing it. If you have any better way of doing it, I would like to see that also. Okay. And three things are remaining in this. There is one more project that is there that I would like you to try. uh, that also we will see tomorrow. Okay, so that is project 2. Now project 2, again, I have not, this is how the project 2 looks, but obviously it does not look good unless you have the style attached to it. So I have styled it like this, project 2.css. Okay, so this is how it looks. Okay, so basically it's like a cart system. And what I want to do is, these are the products that are there inside the cart. Whenever I click on this add to cart, it should come on the table. Okay, inside this table, if I click multiple times, the quantity should increase. Okay, so that is what you have to do in this particular table. And finally, you should implement, you know, a discount coupon code, where whenever you enter a valid discount, a particular discount should be applied, and finally a grand total must be displayed. Okay, so this is the project that you can try for tomorrow. Okay, if possible we will complete this, at least some part we will complete, and remaining you can take it as a homework. Okay, so these are some of the things that you can do. I am taking this you know, these codes so that you can understand, you know, what all things are possible with the help of JavaScript. Okay, so I hope you practice a little bit, you know, because how much ever I show you, it is not going to make much difference unless you practice and, you know, try some examples yourself. Okay, so I hope you will try both these projects. I have explained you what has to be done, and you can try to at least, you know, repeat project 1. Okay, that we have done. So project 1 will be you know, a good example for you to start working on JavaScript. Okay, okay, then are there any queries? Okay, okay, fine then. See you tomorrow at 9.